So big welcome tonight to the lovely Claire Dundas, expert reflexologist, who Nicola and I have both been to, and
she's amazing, absolutely fabulous.
We came across you because you had a fabulous review or two on Facebook, and I phoned you instantly, said how amazing she was.
Yeah, literally as soon as she met Claire's in the car.
Biggest recommendation I've ever had.
I know. Right, get on the phone and book yourself in.
Yeah.
The best reflexology I've ever had.
And the reason I came actually before seeing the review, is one of our Cinch Fast 30 ladies had talked about how she had benefited from reflexology, and of course I did some Googling and went, I need to know more about it. I'd always heard about reflexology. I've never ever been for it. So thank you for changing our world.
You are so welcome.
So do you want to just tell everybody who you are, how you got into reflexology, your background, and a wee bit about that?
Yeah, so well, I am Claire from Claire Dundas Reflexology. My mum was a reflexologist. Probably when I was about 7 or 8. She started, and so she was a reflexologist and aromatherapist, and it's always been part of me. It's always been part of my life and who I am and part of my family. And so for me, it's always felt quite natural. And so sometimes I forget, people don't know what reflexology is, because for me, it was always just so much a part of life. And then I did my own qualification. It would have been 2016. And I actually trained with Sheila Nugent School of Reflexology, which was the school of reflexology that my mum trained in about 30 years ago. So Sheila's fantastic, just a really, really fantastic woman, and she has been doing reflexology her whole life. So passionate about it, and she has now passed that on to her daughter. So her and her daughter both run the school together. But it was actually really lovely to learn with the same lady who taught my mum, and it was very lovely. My background is also in teaching, so I'm so my background's completely different in teaching and dyslexia tutoring and stuff as well. But yeah, I am absolutely love reflexology at the moment.
And in layman's terms, what exactly is reflexology and what does it involve?
That's a big question, isn't it? So reflexology is a natural holistic treatment ultimately. And it works on the principle that there are reflexes in our feet and hands actually, which correspond to areas, systems, organs of our body. So basically that the foot is a map of the body. So what we do then as reflexologists is we work a sequence around the foot, kind of working on those pressure points, but also through the medium of massage. So it's a really lovely, deeply relaxing treatment.
Yeah, fantastic. You're just in a state of bliss.
Yeah.
It's a lovely treatment.
It is. I had one myself the last Friday, not me doing it, and it really just is so lovely. And there's something really. It's very non-invasive as well, because it's not like a massage where you have to take off all your clothes. You've really got to be out there. It's very non-invasive, and really the point of it is to rebalance the energy within the body. So the treatment itself would work around your whole body for things specifically, like specific symptoms that people are experiencing. We can then focus on parts of the body or systems of the body that need more focus. But the ultimate outcome is that the body feels rejuvenated and rebalanced, and that the energy, if any energy is out of balance, that kind of comes back to settle. So yeah, all about rebalance.
Yeah, I was amazed whenever you did my reflexology. You were able to, pinpoint my pituitary gland, which I was just seeing for blood tests, and it was out. And I hadn't told you, and you were able to say, "Oh, it's your pituitary gland," that. And I was like, "Gosh,
that was my favorite bit." It was like fortune telling. You're like, "To drink of water," and then you told me all the things as well. It's like, oh,
I know, and it's funny because for me, it's really just it's really just right there for me. It's something that I just see or I just feel, and it is for me, it's quite a practical thing as well. I think that a lot of people maybe have an idea that it's quite airy fairy and quite sort of, you know, like hippie-ish or something like that. Like there's an element of that to it as well. Of course there is, you know, we're all a bit weird. But you know, ultimately it's very practical. You know, the information is there on your foot, you know, and
Is it based on science? What's
do you know what I mean? And you can, you know, you can feel it as much as you can feel a knot in the muscle, you know, and you can feel the shift of it.
The NHS now are actually recommending reflexology, aren't they, for certain conditions?
Yeah, they are. And even, you know, people who have illnesses like cancer, you know, really, really serious illnesses, and nobody is saying, you know, this will absolutely cure you, but it is such a lovely rebalancing treatment, and it is so good for you, that, you know, it can do nothing but help and support the treatment that is actually going on, you know, and help you through the symptoms and yeah.
Yeah, we totally loved it. And that's the thing, whenever you come out, you're just so relaxed. And I think everyone needs to take that wee bit of time out just to look after themselves and just do all you can. Wellness.
And stop feeling guilty about doing it. Because that's what I'd said to you.
100%.
Come in Thursday morning for this, but I feel like I really need it.
Absolutely. And you do. And the thing is as well, you know, because I went last Friday and I actually put a post up about it. I was like, and it was guilt-free. Like I was saying, like, I don't feel guilty for this because I absolutely, you know, I absolutely need this. And I think we do that so much, don't we? And also I think with self-care, we sort of say to ourselves, okay, well, you know, with self-care, it could be going for a walk or, you know, exercising or, you know, chatting with a friend or something like that. But actually, when you think about it, all of those things require you to give something. You know, you're giving out in all of those things, whether it's energy or chat or whatever. Sometimes I think sometimes our self-care does need to be that we're just receiving something. You know what I mean?
And stop feeling so guilty about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Well, tell us about some of the health benefits. So this is aimed at people. We've just launched a new menopause course for the Cinch Fast series, but we've also got 550 other women who just want to feel better
as well.
And they want to de-stress, reduce anxiety, they want to lose weight, and they just want to feel better about life, but particularly menopause. So tell us some of the actual health benefits that you have seen and are fact.
Yeah, so I mean, basically with reflexology, we're talking about rebalance, as I was saying. We're talking about working through every system of the body. So things like working on circulation, there will be circulatory points in your foot that we are specifically working on, which target all around your body. Having said that, then there's also the direct contact, which improves circulation in the feet and up the legs. We work on lymphatic drainage, so a lot of kind of you know, getting rid of toxins and eliminating toxins. So like, for example, you know, if somebody is you know, on a kind of like a little detox, reflexology can be really good to kind of help to get rid of those sort of all the waste products that are no longer needed. Things like stress and anxiety, it's fantastic for, as is any kind of massage and things like that. But as you know, reflexology, it requires less of you, and it's just such a fantastic energy balance, and it's just so specific. For example, that solar plexus area that we work on quite often, and that would be quite tense quite often. I'm holding it in my hand at the minute, but I mean on my feet, that area that's always quite tense in people, and this is like this area here where we hold so much of our tension and where we need to kind of breathe. So yeah, lots of improvements there as well. Balance in your immune system, really, really good for, again, with lymphatic drainage and things like that as well. And working on our endocrine system, our hormones, you know, all of those things. What we're trying to do is we're trying to touch on specific points in the foot, and we're trying to do a general rebalance and regroup really of our whole bodies. With menopause in particular, I have had quite a few clients. I was saying this to you earlier on that I'm not really sure why it is, whether people have just recommended people and they all happen to be going through the same thing. But I have a lot of clients who have been going through this, and I was saying to you guys earlier on that I feel that, and I've had so much experience from chatting to people, that menopause is one of those things that we laugh off so often, and we say, oh, oh, my hot flushes, oh, nearly silly me.
Time of life.
Yeah, and and it's we all do it, like we can. Oh, in fact, I think I've heard my mum do it, and I've done it to her. Oh, her hot flushes, this, but actually, it's not just hot flushes for a start, even though they themselves can be debilitating. It's so much more. It's in many ways, a lot of my clients have said that they have this feeling of like a lack of sense of self, and like losing themselves, because somewhere primally, I suppose, we're reproductive people, and there's maybe some sort of primal sense of, well, I've lost that, like, and because of all the hormone change, some people are kind of feeling like, I'm different, I feel different, I feel like my personality is different, or I'm more irritable, or my brain is all different and foggy. And yeah, I've had quite a lot of clients kind of come in with that as well. So reflexology works for all of that. Rebalancing actual energy, like feeling less fatigued, working on our hormone areas, working around the reproductive areas, working around our kind of our thyroid and our parathyroid as well. At that time of life, our calcium levels can drop because of the hormones as well, so that kind of helps to balance that. Pituitary gland as well, which is our master gland, controls basically all of our hormones, and just being kind to those stress areas, so our adrenal glands and our solar plexus and things like that.
But it is amazing, sorry, about 50% of the population will go through menopause.
Yeah.
And there's so little talk about it.
Yeah.
It's almost like that hidden, nobody talk about this menopause.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Under the carpet.
And people need to know that there's services like yours available. That and
they're struggle.
They're so affordable as well, and it's our ultimate bliss.
Yeah.
And have you had any really good feedback from clients going through menopause who have come to you?
Yeah, do you know, I have, and I suppose I'm going to give away any names, but I'm sort of thinking of one person in particular, because they're quite a recent client, who actually now has reduced to coming down to me about once every 4 weeks, and who was coming once a week at the start, just with feelings of hot flushes was one of the things, and just general kind of brain fog was what she was experiencing at the start. But as we kind of got chatting at the end, and just through a few treatments, it was very interesting, because she had really been chatting to me about, I don't think she really realized, but really what she was feeling was a kind of a lack of sense of self and identity, and a kind of a loss of who she was, didn't really recognize her feelings, or it was that sort of scenario. And her you might, I don't know whether I've ever spoken to either of you about this in treatments, but the left foot would represent your present and your sense of self and your here and now and who you are as a person, and your right foot represents your past. And on this particular, oh my god, right, so well, there you go, every day. With this particular person, the first foot that I did, so I always obviously do the right foot first, and when I was doing her right foot, I didn't feel anything. There was no sensitivity whatsoever, and she was grand, and I was thinking, oh, we've got a real balanced person here. I mean, there was maybe like a wee bit of solar plexus tension, and that was it. Well, her second foot was jumping around everywhere, like so sensitive. She said that she did still enjoy the treatment, but I mean, that first treatment was, she was very aware of that second foot. So what we have to do then is we pull back the kind of the pressure. The reflexology is a pressure. So we had to pull back on that a little bit for the first couple of weeks. And it was only after kind of chatting after a few weeks, I was sort of saying to her, I was saying, I wonder if that is to do with this sort of challenge of who you are and the change of who you are, and sort of not that you are a changing person, but that something massive in your life is changing and that you're trying to grapple with that and become you for the next stage of your life. Do you know what I mean? It's not the end. It's not the end of anything. That was something that I've spoken to a lot of people about as well. This feeling of, well, that's me done.
Yeah.
Finished. Yeah. And actually, I think there's a real freedom in it. Obviously,
results.
This is it. Do you know what I mean?
Look for the positives.
And flow runs.
Look for the positives. Exactly. Right. No periods. And no, not that whole era of childbirth and, the responsibility of mothering and stuff, that and having to bring up little kids, like that's gone. You're off into your new adventure. You know what I mean? And
seeing the positives in it is helping people to see that, because when you're in it, it's very hard, as you know, if you get lost in the fog, but it's helping people see you're not alone. And that's what really this group is about, setting up a support group where people go, you're not alone. There is help out there. Let's open the conversation, share people like yourself.
There is help available,
and find a way forward together, and
definitely
find the levity, find the laughs in it. And
exactly.
Like build a community. We're going to do the cold water swimming again, which can really help with the anxiety.
Wow. Do you know what? I tried to go cold water swimming. This was maybe 2 months ago or something now, right? And I went to Helens Bay Beach with my wee bag and all, and my wee hot tea for afterwards. I didn't even do it. I just sat and watched everybody else. I couldn't get in.
First day, we're like, I don't think we went into your knees, maybe your thighs, and then thought, oh flip, right, let's get out of here quickly.
You really have to have a word with yourself before you go in.
I'll have to try again. I'll try again.
Yeah, well, you're invited.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. If I had people with me, I would.
Oh, you can't. If people around you, you can't chicken out. You have to.
No, you can't. You've got no choice.
So funny. And so explain what reflexology feels like. Is it hard? Is it massage? Just explain.
So it probably feels quite different on everybody, because I would work quite differently on people's feet depending on their kind of, because we get a wee consultation before we begin. So any kind of particular health issues, or if somebody's pregnant, for example, we go a wee bit lighter. I incorporate quite a lot of massage into my reflexology. I feel that's quite important, because for me personally, that's the sort of reflexology that I like. Because I like to feel like I'm getting a wee something nice as well, I suppose the actual reflexology side of it is more pressure points. So, we're talking about using a lot of like our thumb like this, like the sort of pad of your thumb. So it's not, you're not being poked, and it's not sore. It should never feel sore. But there can be a sensitivity, and quite often in areas that are sensitive, there would be like a feeling of release or relief, like if you've got a sore muscle or something like that and you get a massage, and it's a nice sort of pain, you know what I mean? So it can feel a little bit like that. It should be ultimately relaxing. So I mean, most people are half asleep by the time that we're finished on the second foot. So yeah, I mean, ultimately it can feel different for everybody. It probably would feel different with all reflexologists as well, if you know what I mean, if you were to try lots and lots of different reflexologists. But personally, you will get pressure, but you'll get a lot of massage with.
Well, we totally, absolutely loved it. We adored it.
I couldn't believe it. At the end, when you right, so here's your water. So are you a wee bit backed up, Angela? Very personal, Claire. You're going to get a week later. I've got a headache. Yes. You got a bit of neck ache. Well, I've really relieved it for you.
Oh dear.
Some kind of witchcraft.
I know, witchcraft. That's me.
Not go into details, but let's just say it worked. It was
Very good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
I wasn't breathing properly either at my solar plexus. What were your diagnosis?
Mine was my pituitary gland. Was you said you could feel like little grains of sand or something?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
so you were working
Yeah.
on those. Yeah. And what else was there? My shoulder, my left shoulder.
Right,
as
yeah.
We'd get a creak in my shoulder sitting at the computer all day. So yeah, it was fantastic. But after the hours up, it was like, oh, is that it?
Please don't be over.
I know,
Please
keep
don't be
going.
over.
Oh, I love that you girls love it so much. I really do.
We love it. And what are you feeling when you feel like our shoulder out? What are you feeling in there?
So different parts feel different. Often, like especially if it's a sort of a shoulder or a neck thing, it feels like little crystals. Like if you're rubbing along, if you can imagine what that would feel like if it was little crystals under your skin, you'll be able to feel this yourself. If you knew the points, you would be able to feel it yourself with your thumb. Sometimes people can, I can't remember whether you two did or not, but sometimes people can feel it when I'm doing it on them. Like can feel the grittiness. It's like grit, like little stones or something like that underneath. And what we're looking for is we're looking for that to ease or shift throughout the treatment. So essentially, same, I suppose, as a massage in that way, you know, that you're wanting to work that stress and tension out. But we also can recognize the kind of imbalances from like different colors on the foot. So for example, you might have, you know, your foot might be fairly pale pink, and then you might have a really, really, really red or dark lung area. And that could kind of represent like a bit of inflammation or just a little bit of imbalance or stress there. Also things like we would take note of areas of hard skin, especially if you have, you know, an otherwise quite soft foot, and then to have a kind of a random area that wouldn't be, you know, from wearing high heels or something like that.
Yeah, you said that to me. That was my lung area.
Yeah. Exactly. And that tends to be, if you have an area of kind of harder skin, that tends to be over time. So it's not that just today or just this week you're maybe a bit of out of balance there. That tends to be, you know, that's probably quite a regular thing for you, that you know, have a bit of tension there or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting what we can see and what we can kind of feel. I've had people as well who I've had a client who had diverticulitis, and then she ended up having you know, like a massive sort of stomach issue, and her appendix burst, and she came to me. Now it would be a year later, but it's a girl I actually know quite well, so I kind of knew the background before she came. And when I looked at her feet, her entire digestive area was a completely different color, and you know, and it wasn't even red, it was like a dark, just dark skin, and lots and lots and lots of really thick deep lines in that area. And you know, I didn't need to be told because I knew what her story was and things like that. I actually took a photograph of her foot and showed it to her and showed the foot chart, and I was like, look at this.
I'm gonna look at my foot later.
I know.
We diagnose each other's feet.
Oh gosh, that'd be fun.
Can do reflexology on each other, you know. So you know,
I
should give you some pointers for next time, and you two could do it on one of your Friday fun days.
To be honest,
yeah, you're a bit funny in them.
Oh dear. Well, obviously, Claire, we would recommend you 100%. But if there's anybody else listening in other parts of the country, how can you find a good reflexologist?
Yeah, so the first thing obviously is I would look for a recommendation from somebody that you know. So somebody that you've been to before, somebody that they have been to before. If you don't know anybody who's had reflexology and you're coming at it completely fresh, you can look up like a professional organization page, like for example the Federation of Holistic Therapists. So it's the FHT, and they have a if you just Google FHT, but there are others, and like, I know you guys are not just based in Northern Ireland, you're sort of everywhere, but if you were to Google, Reflexology Association England or whatever, it'll come up to show you where they are. And normally they will have like a register of therapists in your area, and so you can put down where you are and kind of just Google who's there. But I would obviously recommend, having a wee look at reviews on their pages or websites or whatever as well, and even just have a wee look at their treatment space and stuff, just to see if it would suit you. If you would rather go somewhere that's quite clinical and clean, and and you don't want any kind of airy fairiness, that sort of thing, then that might suit you better. Or if you want somewhere kind of warm and cozy, or whatever.
Warm and cozy, that you've got a beautiful fire that's lit.
You love the fire.
I came home and googled fires, and Lane told Simon we're getting a gas fire now.
Oh dear.
I actually contacted a gas engineer and everything.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I've really sold this to you. That's brilliant.
Well,
yeah, I like to be cozy. That's my, I don't know. I like whenever I go for treatments, I like to just.
Yeah, and you cocoon this up and all.
Well, we're very much looking forward to our next treatment.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're regulars. Yeah. How often should people go?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you come to me and you're fairly, so for example, for you too, like, you're healthy people, right? Good, healthy people, no particular like current real health issues. I'm sort of saying, okay, 4 weeks, you can come every 2 weeks if you wanted to, but 4 weeks is fine. If you're coming for something specific, depending on what it is, or if you're coming for menopause and your symptoms are really awful and really debilitating for you, then probably for the first 4 weeks I'd be suggesting that you come once a week. Then we'd be looking to make that once every 2 weeks, and then we'd be looking to make that once every 4 weeks, once things start to kind of rebalance, and once you kind of start to get to that stage where you feel you don't need to go every single week. But reflexology once a week can be very, very good to kind of get that initial rebalance, if you know what I mean. And then really you're just upkeeping it as long as you're looking after yourself. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Well, you've 2 clients for life.
Absolutely.
here.
Good. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in another couple of weeks.
Every day as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
And thank you for having us, for having us.
Lovely energy.